On the news tonight, World Radio Day focuses on radio and climate change. National Assembly passes 2025 appropriations. Plus, International Labour Organization delegation meets with Nigerian government, labour organization to ensure lasting peace through social justice. Good evening and welcome to NTJ Bode News at 7. My name is Fatima Hassan, and here are the news in details. Radio in the last 100 years has had its impact as a medium of disseminating information, educating and entertaining the public, particularly in some hard-to-reach communities. In Nigeria, it has been used to uphold national unity, social cohesion, and the development of its people. But how is it promoting climate change awareness? With this year's celebration focusing on radio and climate change, Charles Alpha reports.
Broadcasting in Nigeria dates back to the colonial era, when the British introduced the radio as a medium of communication in the early 1930s. The first radio station in Nigeria was established in Ibadan in 1933, and it was known as the Radio Diffusion Service, which metamorphosed into the Nigerian Radio Service.
Lagos 107.5 FM.
Today, there are about 98 radio stations in Nigeria. That is aside the online radio, according to the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC. The Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, a government-owned establishment, has its presence in the 36 states. But from our interaction with some persons on their knowledge of climate change and on what medium, not too many seem to have heard anything about climate change from the radio. Given the number of stations available in Nigeria, radio has gone through various stages of evolution, becoming one of the essential tools for shaping public opinion, political discourse, and cultural integrity. But the question is, how is it contributing to climate change awareness, creation, and solution?
Look at the way radio comes into the world, you see that it's something that helps local community to actually get information on weather events, helps farmers, it helps a lot of people to actually get information that can help them to, understand when to plant.
So media generally, especially the radio, is absolutely important in awareness, because that's the most media that reaches the grassroots.
In fairness, the languages being spoken in radio are in simple terms, easy to understand and easy to relate to.
Those in the rural communities are said to be greatly impacted by the effects of climate change, but experts say little is done to reach them in the remotest of the villages.
There is need for this climate change awareness to reach the grassroots, but I don't think it's being used enough.
Most of the radio stations we have now are private owned, so sometimes even the private owned radios may not prioritize climate change conversations because it needs to be paid for.
The interest for the government should focus more on how they can drive community communication.
13th of February every year has been designated as the official day of the World Radio Day by the United Nations. World Radio Day was unanimously proclaimed by all member states of UNESCO in November 2011. Charles Alpha, NT News.
Radio, which is unarguably the most ubiquitous medium of communication, has over the years become one of the most reliable medium of communications, especially for mass mobilization and socialization. With the theme of this year's World Radio Day, focusing on radio and climate change, the onus of changing the unwanted narrative of environmental degradation will now form part of the focus of media experts. Joy Popola has the report.
13th of February every year is set aside to commemorate the World Radio Day, celebrating the milestone feat of what has become one of the oldest mass media and means of communication, with its presence and reach spreading across both rural and urban centers in the country. Experts say the flexible nature of radio and the adoption of local languages and programs in its broadcast has made it significant in achieving social change. With the theme of this year hinged on radio and climate change, it is a clarion call for both conventional and new media to place premium on educating Nigerians on the consequences of climate change and how to mitigate the impact.
Radio is a veritable tool to disseminate information about climate change. It is portable, accessible, and affordable, and can be used to reach millions of Nigerians, millions of people living in both urban and rural areas.
It's very significant that the theme should be on climate change. As the United Nations have emphasized over and over again now, climate change is the biggest issue humanity has ever faced, because the damage that we have caused to the environment is now making nature to fight back.
Experts unanimously agreed that all stakeholders in the media are expected to rekindle their commitment to raising awareness about climate change. In Lagos, Joel Bukwola, NT News.
Senate has passed the 2025 appropriations, totaling 54.990 trillion naira. The amount indicates an increase of more than 700 billion naira on the earlier figure, 54.2 trillion naira. A breakdown shows capital expenditure put at 23.9 trillion naira, while recurrent as 13.4 trillion and debt saving is GOP 14.3 trillion naira. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Adiola Olamilekon, while presenting the report of the Joint Committee on Appropriations for consideration, explained that President Tinubu had followed the suspension of aid by the U.S. government, provided $200 million to fill the gap. Senate had in the meantime commended the federal government for roads projects and urged the inclusion of the Northeast in the renewed Hope Superhighway project. Nigeria's commitment to enhancing food production and alleviating poverty in rural communities has garnered recognition from global leaders. The country stood out at the 48th Governing Council meeting of the International Fund for Agricultural Development held in Rome. Abubakar Okairi, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, has been elected as the Vice President of the Governing Council of the United Nations Agency. Musa Baba Aliyu has the details. Lasting peace can only be achieved through social justice. Hence, the need for social dialogue that drives transformation. This was the position of the panelists at the Global Coalition for Social Justice at the UN House in Abuja. Francis Paye has more.
Labor organization has in attendance labor movements and other concerned authorities agreed that for any nation to develop, there must be social justice in the workforce. The DGILO, while highlighting some of the issues faced by labor, is hopeful that surmounting these challenges is possible.
The market forces alone cannot define the future of work. It must be shaped through structured dialogue to ensure fair wages, to ensure labor rights, to ensure social security, to ensure dignity of life.
Leaders in the labor force and other panelists suggested the need for government to look into its policies, review them, and implement other policies like the minimum wage.
There is one aspect we keep advocating on, which to me is missing, which is, yes, it's good to reform. It's good to make the macroeconomic environment more conducive for growth, for economic prosperity. But before you get there, you need to give a human face to the reform.
The sanctity of collective agreement, which whether ILO or global organizations, is that agreements must be respected. When agreement is reached between government and labor, the minimum wage that was mentioned here, as at today, most organizations, most corporations have not implemented.
We cannot negotiate social safety nets. The socio-economic situation as at today, it is unbearable. There must be safety net that empowers people, critically so for women.
Responding to the issues raised, government says it is taking bold steps in the right direction to make life easy for all.
Government is putting every effort into promoting equal opportunities for all Nigerians so that no Nigerian is left behind and that every Nigerian has equal opportunities to meet their aspirations in life.
Saddled with the mandate of promoting social and economic justice through international labor standards, address social injustice in the work environment for the labor force globally. The International Labour Organization has highlighted important issues allegedly impeding social justice in the labor force. In Abuja, Frama Panyi, NTA News.
Members of the 4th National Youth Assembly of Nigeria and Senate ambassadors have been inaugurated in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports that the 4th Assembly will be ordered by National Speaker Oluwasegun Famiyibo from Ekiti State.
Established in 2010 with the aim of championing participation in governance and national development, the National Youth Assembly of Nigeria provides a platform for meeting the yearnings and aspirations of young people. For the National Speaker of the 3rd Youth Assembly of Nigeria, Sani Shuaibu, members of the 4th Assembly must continue to ensure the shared vision of achieving a Nigeria that works for all.
And we will give you all the necessary support to ensure that you exceed all expectation.
Then came the much-awaited moment for the oath-taking administered on the National Speaker. The National Speaker, after his oath-taking, also performed his first duty by inaugurating state ambassadors. For the Speaker of the 4th Assembly, aside from building on the successes of his predecessor, the Assembly for the next 2 years is to build a nation where youths can thrive.
What we are prioritizing is youth financial independence, and which is what I have said, and we have chosen ICT as our major sector in rebranding most of our youth.
With the belief that a good leadership and proper youth empowerment will help build bridges and the future for sustainable economic growth, the keynote speaker is of the opinion that education today must meet modern-day realities.
Continue to expand your horizons by learning, networking, and embracing opportunity beyond your comfort zones.
Take advantage of the opportunities available through various government initiatives and interventions to showcase your potentials.
For other youth advocates, the message is simple. Preach peace, love for one another, and unity. The inauguration also saw the decoration of patrons, matrons, and advisors of the Youth Assembly, as well as presentation of awards. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
We'll be going on a break. Please stay tuned.
NTA Ijebu-Ode, your heritage station. Nigeria Television Authority, NTA Ijebu-Ode Heritage Station. A station that updates you on latest information, news, people day-to-day activities. We promote Nigeria culture. We bring to you educative program and talk shows for young and old. We give you latest updates from the world of sports. We also bring to you updates from the entertainment world. We are the best among the rest. We are available on StarTimes Channel 103 and UHF 63. NTA Ijebu-Ode, your heritage station.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us. The news continues. Nigerian youth have been urged to understand the real meaning of Valentine's Day, which calls for love and affection to partners, family, and friends. This way the view of a public affairs analyst, Mrs. Roslyn Bosede Shoeton, while featuring on NTA Ijebu-Ode special program on Valentine.
train our children to love. Like I said, everything comes from home. Do you know in some family where the husband doesn't love the wife, they're just deceiving themselves. You know, this kind of fake love. Whether you like it or not, the children will know. So everything starts from home. The children, among the children, their siblings. Parents should try to train these children to love themselves first within the family. So when they are able to do that, then outside you will see them exhibiting that love. And how do they do that? Somebody is in need, you quickly give. I need pencil, even in the class. You can easily give. Okay, I have 2 pencils, you share. You have 1, then I use 1. So these are the ways in which we need to educate our children, and for that love, to continue to grow within the family.
Full details will be brought to you tomorrow by 7:30 p.m. in the evening. Stay tuned. The Nigerian police force has dismissed recent report alleging the 3,907 arms and missing from its harmonies, calling the claims misleading and inaccurate. In a statement, the force clarified that the figure was drawn from a 2019 audit report by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation and does not reflect the current status of police armaments. The police authorities explained that several factors, including civil unrest, attacks on police facilities, and ongoing operations, contribute to temporary discrepancies in audit findings. Many weapons previously unaccounted for have since been recovered and properly documented. Additionally, when auditors visit police harmonies, some weapons may have been inactive by officers on deployment, leading to misinterpretations of the audit records. The force reiterated that internal audit and regulatory measures ensure strict monitoring and accountability of firearms. It condemned that such reports undermine public trust in law enforcement. Meanwhile, the ongoing Senate committee hearing on the matter has been postponed to February 17, 2025, allowing for a thorough review of records. That's all we have for you tonight on NTA Ijebu Ode at 7. Good night.